This is a first for me. I've never done this, so let's see how it pans out. I was doing some cleaning today and I found this book. It was hiding behind something, and I decided to open it up, and I found a couple things everywhere I was reading I thought was really cool, really interesting. It sponsored a lot of thoughts or confirmed a lot of my feelings, expressed a lot of the feelings that I have. And a lot of the things that I wish more people understood. So I decided to play this little game where I read the book with you somehow and share with you. So the book is Core Energetics, Developing the Capacity to Heal and Love, from John Periakos. So in it we have a lot of words. Words. And we also have images. Ooh, images. I guess we'll understand pretty quickly what this book is about when I show you the images. Because in French we say, a picture is better than 1,000 words. Ooh, what are these? These are humanoid beings, yes, humans. And kind of like how their different layers of energy field are expressed. We're not taught as a child to see it, so we don't necessarily see it, but you can train yourself to see and understand or sense these. One thing that I love today, when I poked into this, what I really like about this is that I have learned different techniques. I've learned different techniques to understand, map out the energy field and the body and the different bodies that we have within that makes the energy field, or different energetic bodies that vibrate. I studied this in different schools and different doctrines, and a lot of it is experienceable through experience. Any of us can experience it just by taking the time to go inside and train your mind to connect with what's going on inside, do some cleanup, do some organizing. Just like anywhere outside, we've created pathways and maps to understand the outer world, and there are also pathways and maps that are created for our inner world. And just like you've had to practice walking around in your outer neighborhood, we can practice going and getting to know our inner neighborhood. This said, right, a lot of my studies and research about all of what I just named refers to how consciousness and matter meets and interweaves and creates and impacts each other. What I love about this is that it brought me more thinking. I don't think anything is for sure, but it's all objects of observation, objects of reflection, the structures that we deposit, maps that we use, and see where it gets us. Not one map is the map, right? And so some maps, they all have their own limits and imperfections, and they're all aiming at explaining something that is to us unmanifest, invisible. It can be sensible, sensitized, but with our 5 physical senses, a lot of the times it's missed. We have to develop our senses beyond the material senses. And it's all very possible, and it's been done for thousands and thousands of years. So I hope, I felt like I needed to give some context. I hope that makes sense. I hope that the context I created makes sense, and I'm sorry if it was a little long. I could go on forever about this stuff. But so back to the book. Here, we can see how they're called the energy bodies. The energy bodies. So we have the person who's a female body, and we can see that there's a layer of blue, or a thin layer, right around her body. There's a thin layer of blue. And right around that thin layer of blue, there's another layer, which is orange reddish. And then right after that is a orange body. And after that, we have a more radiating, emanating lines of darker blue and lighter blue emanating around there. And I love this because I've been taught something slightly different. Here you go. This is how I explain it. So everything that exists is a wave particle. What this wave particle is an atom made of, so we have the neutrons, the protons, and the electrons. And what we call electricity is a series of atoms, of components that are able to pass on an electron. And to pass on an electron, you need to either have one or need one. And a current of electricity isn't a bunch of electrons just passing really quickly. Or is it a lot of electrons passing really slowly? I'm not an electrician, but I understand basic stuff that most of us learned in school. So, to me, the physical body is made of its cells. Now, this idea are made of cells that are made of molecules that are made of atoms. An atom and a molecule, the difference is that a bunch of atoms are hanging out as a gang because there's a magnetic tension that keeps them together. If I understand correctly. Of course, this is not refined. This is like vulgarized. Forgive me for the vulgarization. I hope you can still follow me or be interested in what I'm saying. These atoms that became these molecules together organize in a way that make a cell. So a cell then gets together with another cell and creates something, an organ, a tissue, a being, a multicellular being, as opposed to one unicellular being. And a bunch of these cells that create a tissue or an organ eventually create an organism. And this organism eventually gets, in our case, a certain mental, spiritual influence to activate that organism in expanded ways than other basic organisms, like animals or plants. Now, physically, I'm a bunch of cells connected together, and how they're connected together is through a magnetic force. And so that magnetic force is measurable. It has a hum, it has a vibration, it has a charge. That charge is actually called a voltage. We carry a certain voltage, which is highly related to our pH, by the way. If you alter your pH, you alter your voltage. If you alter your voltage, you alter your pH. When you ground into the forest, you alter your voltage, and that helps with your pH internally. So that's a good way to keep our pH balanced and stay healthy. Not too alkaline, not too acidic. We want to be in a nice place of healing, harmonious, electromagnetic exchanges, right? So if you don't have enough of a voltage, you don't have as much capacity to respond quickly or stay your membrane impermeable to viruses or bacteria or things that are not for you. Your body is more able to say, pew, it's like a force field, literally. And so that first layer of blue that we see, it's that place of that first electrical experience of all of these cells coming together, of all of this charge of this thing coming together. That is the etheric body. Then after that comes the emotional body. And here, that's what kind of like pew my mind today, is that they bring the emotional body together with the astral body. And you see, the way I was taught, the teachings that I've used most as a professional have always included a distinction between the emotional body and the astral body. And it's helped me and served me a lot. And I can see how they're distinct and the same. And I'm really enjoying how this book is bringing them together as one. And here's my thought about this. Like I said, our first etheric body is the voltage charge of our cells, are the atoms and molecules that are creating this unit body, this distinguishable body, this separate from the rest physical body. It has its own voltage, right? And so it has a voltage because there's this current going on between these little particles, atoms. But now in as I'm a whole self with an etheric body, I will be also in interaction with other beings, with other groupings of cells and molecules and atoms that have their own voltage and their own charge and their own pulsing magnetism. Because of that, there's a potential of us exchanging charge. Get there with me. You'll see. I don't know. I think it's mind-blowing. It came to me in the last few months. And it might be obvious to you, or you might be totally lost in what I'm saying. But here it is, right? So now we're going to bring in the chakras, because we're also talking about the energy bodies, but I also want to bring in the chakra anatomy. Right here we can see that they've brought in the chakras with the bodies. So what I've been taught in other schools is the idea we have our multiple energetic bodies that are of various consciousness, various realities, various types of vibration, types of exchanges. So we have these bodies and we have these chakras. And so the chakras we've heard of a lot more in my personal sphere. All my life I've heard about chakras a lot more. It is only when I started digging that I started to hear about energy bodies from various cultures and dogmas. And so the one where I really took on and invested a lot of money to learn in and to practice and to become an expert at is one that brought in our 7 chakras and connected them to our 7 bodies. And I found that so fascinating because it is such a clear bridge, an easy way to turn on our consciousness and connect to the vibration of our energy bodies. You know, once you've connected with your chakras and understood that a chakra is kind of a little vortex where energy circulates through and generates both who you are and how you take in the world and how you push out or create the world through your vision and projection, how you interpret the world and how you interact with it. But each chakra is kind of like an organ. It specializes in specific aspects of how you generate reality, how you understand reality. So just like how we have a liver that really specifically works with fats and breaking down poison and it has its own way of breaking stuff down. He has its own need to be able to do a good job, and then it has different functions to operate afterwards, and it's an interaction with all the other organs who themselves have their own function, like a pancreas who deals with whatever it deals with, and the colon who does its own thing, but all of it works together, but each of them have their own specific function. So chakras are very much like that. They're that channel energy, read energy, forms energy, emanates, magnetizes energy on very specific aspects of the psycho-emotional, physical aspects of a human unit, right? And I've learned and worked with 7. There are other methodologies that use more and others less and that move them around. All of them and any of them are just as valid as another, I believe. They are only means for us to understand the unmanifest. And so I go with the one that I chose. And I'm going with that one because it's been documented for thousands and thousands of years, and it's helped thousands and thousands of humans. And I just have a deep connection to it. It resonates with me as a high potential truth. And so I behave as if it is a high potential truth. And so it responds with me as a high potential truth, as a way to understand my inner world and how it relates to my outer world. So for the sake of this video, let's pretend you already know about chakras the way it's been taught in the map, where there are 7 and the root is at the bottom and the crown is at the top. So that one. Also the one where there's a male current and a female current that start at the bottom and intertwine between the chakras and come and meet here to activate a balance of these 2 forces again, electrons receiving and giving. The male energy is one that gives, and the female energy is one that receives. So even just purely like that, these two terms of male and female, which we can also call yang and yin, are very much related to, are you wanting to give electrons, or are you wanting to receive electrons? Bring them to you. Or do you want to give them to others? Produce them. So that chakra system where there's the male and female that connects here, and when you activate your pineal gland and open that area, you can receive way more information. The radius of the electromagnetic fields is expanded, and you can receive information in a different manner, right? Your antenna is bigger, so you receive bigger information, more information. You receive more information. I'm going to tell you how I was taught, right? First chakra, first body. First chakra is about the body, the physical body, the fact that you have bones and skin, and that you have a sense of closed-in self. You're a unit separate from everything else. You are an individual, an individuated entity that physically is free of the world, from within the world. You don't have roots, for example. And so all of the first chakra is related to all that is related to the body, the physicalness, also the physicality of the world. So are you safe physically in the world? That means, do you have a roof on your head? It also means, is your tribe safe for you? Do you feel like you belong to the tribe? You have a tribe, or at least you're identified to a tribe. First chakra, identification to tribe, or nation, or subfamily, or right? But so it is your body, but it is also your body of connections. The first chakra, as in your family could represent a first chakra. Not necessarily the relationships. That's another one. Fourth. And so, first chakra, first energy body, etheric, which is that first coming together that creates a structure for all of these atoms to come together. Now all of these atoms come together, second chakra. And between themselves, there's this exchange and there's this charge, like I was saying. And the second chakra is about creativity. It's about creation. It's about a sensuality and a sexuality. It's about passion. And it's also about self-worth. The sense of self-worth. Am I worthy? And it kind of blew my mind this fall, how it just really profoundly made a lot of sense to me, how it's all electrical, electromagnetic. Come with me, right? Let me take you somewhere. If I'm an entity that will survive when I have a good electromagnetic charge, where there's a good balance within myself, and I have all the electrons that I need and want, and I also have the freedom to give away some or receive some, right? There's a sense of balance. That sense of balance gives a sense of wholeness and integrity. Once in a while, the thing is that we live in a world where we are not just I'm not just here alone, divided from the rest of the world, separate by myself. There are other selves around. And so there's a potentiality for my voltage and their voltage to exchange. And within society, then within an expression of myself, I am me in my body, I am also this potential electrical magnetic channel object that can connect to another channel object, human, and exchange energy. Because we're mammals, get this, because we're mammals, we are engineered to need the other. We're born, created within the other, and then we are emerged outside, and then we breastfeed and we continue to have this exchange, and we do this forever. That's how our species evolved. We are always interconnected, and I believe that has a lot to do with the fact that we were born within the being and are so dependable the first few years on that being or the beings around. But so it creates within us a deep need for that electromagnetic exchange, which when that goes well, I guess we call love. We call that love. Oh, wow, we're circulating electrons so well. Yum, 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 yum. But if it doesn't go well, my sense of integrity gets confused. Either am I always with needing some, or am I just generating some because I'm experiencing things that are creating more voltage and I can't circulate it, and then I have to learn how to manage it. So we start to get all sorts of experiences throughout life that teach us about how to share electrons, how to receive, how to give, and sometimes our environment doesn't allow us to expand that natural engineering within us. The environment doesn't give us the opportunity to stay connected, or to stay connected in a healthy way. Maybe we connect in a toxic way where we just give electrons all the time, or we learn to hide and have the least electrons possible. All sorts of ways to create that. And so that is the second chakra. When I desire somebody, I want their electrons. I want them to want mine, right? This what that is actually an electromagnetic experience. Of course, our universe is holographic. So an electron is most likely an entity, an object of a manifest that we've managed to see within this whole universe that is exponentially much more mysterious than we've gathered it is so far. Like, let us remember, we remember so little about what this whole experience is. Let us remember we know so little. And everything I'm sharing is like pieces that we're gathering in the dark to try to make sense of all of this, right? And I certainly hope to help you make sense of it and find your own inner way to figure all of this out. But so when the second chakra is healthy, there's this flexibility in receiving and giving. That's what they say when it is healthy. I am more and more interested in your honest, authentic expression. I think it's important to be balanced, to be flexible. But we might like a certain polarity over another. Like, we might want to give a lot, but it is always important to learn to receive a lot, and vice versa, or at least to be able to receive, to have right, an on-off switch, to be able to swing both ways. Second chakra is about that constant sense that we need to rebalance our electrons in any sorts of way. Because then the mental comes in there and creates all these stories, which creates pulsions, which then give us drives and magnetizations. And so that's a little further up. But right now we're still in the second chakra, which is the basic, just you on your own. Are you electromagnetically balanced within yourself? Are you carrying belief of your worth that you're not worthy of having an integrous whole voltage? Are you in the belief that you need the other to stay balanced? Are you in the belief that you need to give it to the other to stay balanced? It's interesting to go see what we've programmed in the second chakra for ourselves in response to our environment, in our constant goal to be balanced, to be a balanced, integrous entity with a good voltage. Now, once we figure that out, like I said, sometimes there are certain polarities that we like, and it's okay. But as we do this exchange with you, and then exchange with you, and then they exchange together, and then we exchange as a whole, and as this happens, we realize unconsciously, consciously, through our will or through our response or defensiveness, through our need to survive or through our own beautiful, authentic expression, we come to find positions in that exchange that we like better. That's when the third chakra comes in. The third chakra is my sense of self and ego. I always say the ego is like the boss of my enterprise. I'm an enterprise. My ego is the boss. He's got a lot of freaking pressure. He needs to make a lot of decisions quickly, and he can only do it with the data that his assistants and workers are giving him. And so I think ego is super important to befriend and get to know and acknowledge who we are, acknowledge our positioning, acknowledge our polarities, and take ownership in the sense of admitting it, admitting we have a drive to do that, admitting it has an impact in our life and in the life of the others that we have in our life. And perhaps we have these people in our life specifically because we can be in this position. So now my third chakra, my will, my sense of self, where I've positioned myself in the world, I am capable of flexing around with people, but maybe no, I just want to always be submissive. I always kind of want to have another current drive me, and just let me just be like an electron passer. Let me not create a current. Let me just allow a current. Or it can be like, no, fuck allowing current. I have the drive to create a current, and I'm going to create a current and find people who just want to pass on the current. And this happens in all of the aspects of our life. And on so many different subtle situations in our life, we're constantly figuring out, am I giving or receiving, and where am I positioning myself? And, identity and personality changes and it evolves over time. We can definitely emphasize new aspects of us and diminish other aspects of us by looking at it. I do believe that there is, a wiring in the childhood that is really dense to work through. And I have yet to come up with another theory, but my theory is that there are no patterns that ever really go away completely, but our relationship to those patterns change completely, right? Certain patterns, certain things we've put in place in our life to survive in a most balanced, integrous way. There are behaviors and positions in my personality that may need to change later. But to be able to do so, I need to go look at it and look at it and look at it and look at it and rewire and rewire and rewire and rewire. But to look at it and to rewire, one needs to be able to catch oneself. So we need to build a desire and a will to have an observer within that looks within, that pays attention, that looks at the recurring activities in the outer world and in our inner thoughts, and see how they connect, and see how there's a pattern, and how bring an intuitive wisdom just by our curiosity and asking within. The universe, outer and inner, responds to our curiosity. It is super good to be curious in life as opposed to resistant. If we hear something we don't like, okay, cool, I don't know exactly what it means, maybe I don't understand it, let me put a pause on it, let me just take it in slowly and observe if we're like pushing it away. Because maybe it's pointing to something that we don't want to look at. So what's really cool about the third chakra is that it can be the seat of our ego when we haven't done much work to see ourselves. And that's when we can come up to the fourth chakra. The fourth chakra is like, okay, you're an entity. Okay, you have a voltage. Okay, you want to exchange with other people. Okay, you've positioned yourself in relationship to other people. Wait a second. There's you, right? And you're interacting with others. And you've positioned yourself with others. But so if we take the screen here, right? Here is me in my space. But here is us in our space. And so all of us are in a space of exchanges. We are in one space where our voltage can exchange. That space, the fourth chakra, the fourth body, how I've learned it before, and the way that I've been implementing it for the last 12 years professionally with my clients and on myself, etc., etc., my peers, my close people, is that the fourth chakra connects us to the fourth body, which is the astral. And here, the emotional and the astral are the same. And yeah, they are the same, but they are the subtle, right? In this, the fourth layer, the astral, we come out of 3D experience. I've positioned myself in relationship to you. I come into we are, and we are now. And we are not just now in this body. We are in a space that we share together. And within that space that we share together, that's when we come in with a bit of a spiritual input. And that's where maybe we lose some of you guys listening, or maybe that's when we grab some of you that are listening. But that ego that is connected to this physicality is really connected to its mortality. This physicality has a beginning and an end, and we all have heard this from the beginning we were born. And so, however, there's this sense that there's potentially a world, the astral, where our astral body comes in to this container in matter, and that potentially there's this soul, this fragment of universe that lives beyond the longevity of a body. It's this soul can come in and out into different bodies and into different times. And so the astral is also this sense that it's beyond the ego body linear birth death. It has a bigger understanding of time. Time isn't linear with a beginning and an end. It is like a bowl of a dimension where all time exists. Future, past, present. The only time that matters to you, to me right now, is the present. That's the only one that ever matters. Ever. It's not that important to go figure out our past lives or our future lives. What really matters is to be here in this life. But with time, we come to realize that what's here in this life is both a mixture of my past and future selves, constantly. And so we can learn to see patterns throughout time. And we can learn to become intuitive and get a sense of these patterns and where they come from this life or other lives. So in the astral, we can also connect with the idea of ghost or ancestors. And so the astral is this place where we go beyond time. We go beyond time and that sense of beginning and an end, and that body, mind, ego entity that has a birth and a death. There is something in the astral that gives this sense of timelessness, of existence beyond time, of this existence beyond future and past self. And as we're in the present moment, which is the only moment that is important, we get to be aware that there are spirals of learning that come and come again, and that we can learn to recognize them. We can learn to be curious about them and take notes. One last thing I'll say about this, because it's a long enough video, and I'll continue explaining more on the fifth dimensions and other places. But so the fourth body is very much also our realm of relationship. And I believe that we actually are all one energy playing at fragmenting itself to learn experiences, to understand experiences through all these beings, all these entities, all these fragmented aspects of its whole, of the whole. And that I think that a lot of the wisdom that is the teaching of the astral is that I actually am you, and that you actually are me, and that on some level we're playing at not being each other so we can learn with each other and from each other on a different level. I operate from that place. And I have to say that I see great results in my life and in the life of my clients from operating from that place. It doesn't mean what happens here in our body, in our mortal life, isn't important or real. It is as important and as real as the knowing, that place where I know I am you. I know I am you, but I am also me. And if our game, you trespass my boundaries, it is my responsibility to say, no, 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 no. I guess maybe that's what the universe wanted to learn through us, is when was I going to put my boundaries and how much were you going to put them? Well, the universe just learned. This is the moment. Isn't that fantastic? And at that moment, we get a position. We position ourselves. Our third chakra is so happy. We positioned ourselves. And our fourth chakra demands that we do it, positioning ourselves, through the understanding that I am you. And therefore, doing it through compassion. Therefore, doing it with patience. Doing it with the idea that we're all doing our best with all this amnesia. So to me, the astral is related to that. So it's very much about love and relationships and that place of emotion. So to me, the fourth body and the second body, as I've been taught, they are both emotional bodies. The second one is your emotion to yourself. I am worthy, am I not worthy, etc., etc. Or I'm passionate, I want. And the fourth chakra is about emotion, but relationship, emotion related to you and me, where we meet, where we don't meet, that realm of emotion, the one that is created by our relating, whether it is healthy or unhealthy, conscious or unconscious, right? Or whether it's cultural or collective or relationally, like a couple or domestic or familial. All of these are relationships that exist within the astral. The astral is this cauldron of all of these experiences experienced within relationship. So therefore it is all available. And that's one of the wisdoms of the fourth chakra. And if you want to graduate from the fourth body, if you want to graduate from the astral, is realize that everything is happening all at once in one very long stretched out time moment experience through gazillions of bodies. Once you get that, it allows you to expand to a higher place of understanding. It's all meta. As in right above, I can see it, right? I can understand the fourth dimension. Once I get this as a third dimensional being, I have an end and a beginning and a beginning and an end, and it happens again and again and again and again. That understanding creates a capacity to see above and question what else is available. And so I could go on talking about meta, but I hope you get what I mean by understanding that I come and come and come again. It gives me a higher sense of what is this I that comes and comes and comes again. And once I've come and come and come again, and I realize all of these I's, all of these me's are me's, all of these others are actually me's. Once I've come to that realization, I can come to a higher level of understanding. But to be able to do that, we have to own this container. You have to own your etheric body, your own desires, how you manage your desire. Where do you position in life? Are you happy or unhappy about where you position yourself in life? Yeah, it was pretty dark. I just decided to put some light on. And so, back to the book. This is awesome. I didn't know where we were going to go. This was the first trial. I kind of liked it. It helps me sponsor some thoughts, and I don't know if you'll enjoy it or even understand it, or maybe you'll criticize it because you do understand it. And if that is the case, I want to know, fill in my blanks, filling my blind spots. Let's connect through conversation. I don't have the truth. I just have questions and some answers that I'm still questioning. But there are maps that I've been using, and they work for those who embark in them. So it's not for everyone, and there are many maps. I hope you find your maps, and I hope that if you find me, it's because these maps are helpful for you. So from this book, what blew my mind today is the idea that the emotional bodies can be seen as one. And the reason why I say that is because as I've been owning my multidimensional vehicle, as I've been dealing with the imbalances and false beliefs, and as I've been reprogramming and recoding the programs in my chakras, in my first chakra, in my connection to tribe, in my second chakra, in my relationship to my worth, in my third chakra, in my relationship to my positioning, which I'm still working on. It's always been an issue in my life, but positioning myself is tricky, especially in these days. In these days where taking position is very polarized, and it can create such great separation when I actually want to create union. As I've been dealing with first, second, third chakra, this 3D vehicle with my ego, and as I've been relating to my ego, this sense of I am as this astral being, I can drive my vehicle in a very different way. And so I've been, in this process of clearing my chakras, I've been comparing my emotional bodies to water bodies. And so I've been clearing the waters of my body. I've been removing the toxins, and I've been unfreezing the frozen capsules. I've been, bringing down the temperatures where it's steamy and trying to find that balance. And as I do this, inherently, as I do this within myself, my emotional body is nothing but my own creation in reaction to the world out there of emotion. The world out there of emotion taught me how to be. I chose how to be within what it taught me. And as I take responsibility for, wait a second, it didn't teach me anything. I responded a certain way. It didn't teach me anything. It was what it was. And I reacted how I reacted. And I can react in other ways. That's what I mean by clearing waters, removing the old beliefs of how I needed to have my voltage, how I had to have my current. And as I deal with this and clear my waters of myself, it inherently clears my waters of my relationships, because I am not the same being. If I am not giving electrons the same way I was before, those beings in my life that benefited from a relationship where I was giving a bit more electrons than they were giving me, when I change that, it disrupts that dynamic. And then we can get into a conflict or a fight, or trying to name boundaries, or having reactions against those said boundaries. Like, all sorts of things can happen. Some people will be happy for this new change, and some others will be disappointed because they're losing something, and unconsciously they don't quite know what it is, but all of a sudden there most likely will be an ego contraction on their part, making you bad, saying you are bad because you've changed, or you're doing things that are not like before and you can't handle it. They don't want to handle it anymore. Enough is enough, when you've just changed patterns. Ego doesn't react so well to conflict, or to change, right? And it sometimes creates conflict instead of just accepting that molecules can become atoms, right? So yeah, there it is. Yeah, I don't think I can say it enough, but I love you. I love you. I love you. I guess I electron you. Yeah. I hope that some good vibes were passed on through this, and you take care. I guess you can subscribe, like, comment. I hope that we get to see each other again. Feel free to make contact with me if you want. Bye.